Come, I didn't hear that.
Dime qué tú quieres, papi. ¿Quieres que lo mueva para ti? Mueve, mueve. ¿Te gusta cuando me muevo así? Así.
Thank you, God, for this day. We have lived everything in our life, our health, our family, the guidance you have given us, allow us guidance to the path of righteousness. Amen.
Really, I'ma get that bitch. Revenge is a dish best served cold. She took my son, now my soul is cold. He took my daddy, now my soul is old.
Yeah, man.
That's hot shit right there, man.
So what we gonna do? We gonna dub?
King Chaka ENT. Y'all can check out the music on Spotify, Apple, and other services. Doing what we do 3 to 4 nights a week. King Chaka ENT. From the
She
back
starts
seat.
shooting.
Ow!
That dude was like, ow.
What was that?
Outside the car,
That nigga
deputies'
got
body
popped.
cameras capturing the bullets flying through the air.
We got shots fired
couldn't
up
have been
here.
a straight
We
shot. It
need
had
backup
to be-
immediately. Start
Are you-
EMS. Start EMS.
What
We got
the
a civilian. We got a civilian hit.
The deputy.
Looks like we got us another hit.
Hey, how y'all doing out there? How y'all feel? Remember, an educated public cannot be controlled. Learn to be active. The views and events expressed here are totally whack. They're not necessarily the views of anyone. Yes. Special day show. I wanted to try to do something different and keep it, we're going to talk about like news and weather. It'll still be like the other show, but in the morning. Anyways, how y'all feeling out there? Y'all feeling good? I want to start off with some headlines. Messing with my green screen. I can't get it to act right. I don't be having the patience for that anymore. So let's just read some headlines right quick. This is Associated Press. Am I sharing? Oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this with that. Why does it starts up right when I start the show? Because of that noise. Let's see. It's not gonna stop. I'm gonna play a video instead. Oh, it's going down. It's going down. Let's go back to the AP. Okay, couple of headlines. This first headline, it says, "Where's Putin? Leader leaves bad news on Ukraine to others." These are just headlines I'm going to read. It says, more on Russian-Ukraine war. Russian strike force Ukraine to face hours-long power cuts. Sweden, traces of explosives found at Baltic Sea pipelines. This one says, high energy prices lead to coal revival in Czech Republic. Widespread. It says, I thought I was going to die. Abuse is widespread in Ukraine. That thing, whenever they say that, I always wonder, I'm like, okay, so they're like, Russia is doing war crimes all the time over there. So like, when it's a war going on, and so Ukraine they never do any war crimes. So I'm not saying that Russia doesn't do stuff, but the narrative is Russia is the one that's doing all the war crimes. The Ukrainian soldiers, they don't do any war crimes. If they do, we don't hear about it, huh? Well, I think we do. They just twist it. Like recently we had the thing about the missile, and then it was like, oh, World War III, it was a missile that hit Poland, I want to say. And it was like finally they come out, it was an accident, and it actually came from Ukraine. Maybe it wasn't an accident. So that's another thing, trying to make the look like Russia is really trying to attack all these countries over there in that area. Oh, this background is killing me right now. It says Qatar bans sale of beer and World Cup stadiums in about face. Qatar banned the sale of beer at World Cup stadiums on Friday, a sudden U-turn on the deal the conservative Muslim emirate made to secure the soccer tournament with only 2 days to go before the opening game. So it's like, yeah, y'all could come do it over here. That's fine. Oh, yeah, y'all could drink beer. That's fine. Oh, wait, you know what? No, you can't drink beer. Like, wait a minute. A lot of the fans going to really have a hard time. How they going to even... Anyways, that's funny to me, though. Oh, my God. This background is killing me. This headline, it says, Pelosi, dominant figure for the ages, leaves lasting imprint. There are two searing scenes of Nancy Pelosi confronting the violent extremism that spilled into the open late in her storied political career. In one, she's uncharacteristically shaken in a TV interview as she recounts the brutal attacks on her husband. I don't remember seeing no video. Do they have it? We talked about this last night, but I didn't play any clips. All these ads on here. You can't read newspaper articles no more without ads, and then you got to pay for subscriptions for each and every one, and they're all separate. It's crazy. It seems like they make it harder and harder for you to get any like real news. You get your freaking watered down talking heads, puppets, on your local news shows or whatever, or your YouTube channels or whatever it is that you're watching, and you really just getting someone's opinion. Very few actual hard facts. Nobody really knows what the hell, like we were talking about last night, the whole Nancy Pelosi with her husband. We don't even really know what the hell happened. Why can't they just tell us? Let me read this one. It says, more Twitter workers flee after Musk's hardcore ultimatum. Twitter continued to bleed engineers and other workers after new owner Elon Musk gave them a choice to pledge extremely hardcore work or resign with severance. Ooh. It seems like they're trying to make Elon Musk a bad guy right now. So I don't know about how I really feel about that. But I saw, okay, so Facebook laid off a whole bunch of people, Twitter laid off a whole bunch of people, and Amazon also laid off a whole bunch of people. So again, the thing is, what I'm screaming from the rooftops is these monopolies, these oligarchies, these are the problem. And we just looking at things in the wrong way. So if Walmart, Amazon, Twitter, Facebook hires everyone, then they have, look how much control they have. We talk about the government and we talk about voting. Your vote don't mean nothing. If you work for Amazon, he just laid you off. Like, I don't understand why people can't really see that. Like, who's your boss and where you work at, how you make a living has way more impact on your life than whatever the hell the politicians are saying or doing or legislation they're trying to make or whatever the hell. If you want to talk about totalitarianism, that's what it is. It's your job. And then it's like, there's only a few other jobs, right? It's only a few companies. Every industry is monopolized. So, you got to go to one or the other for your services or for a job. Like, you guys are not seeing that, I don't think. This one, it says, North Korea test fires ICBM with range to strike entire U.S. Seoul, South Korea. North Korea fired an intercontinental ballistic missile that landed near Japanese waters Friday in its second major weapons test this month that showed a potential ability to launch nuclear strikes on all of the U.S. So What I would say about that story is that, hey, that's the reason why North Korea is still exists, right? So like you can be mad at them or whatever, but they do these things to be like, okay, you guys just leave us alone. If you come over here with some drama, then we're gonna try to bring it to you, And it's funny how like, Haiti gets kicked around and pushed around, other countries gets kicked around and pushed around. And a lot of times it's because they don't have this kind of capabilities. So, they want to have a monopoly on violence. So, certain countries are like, hey, yeah, y'all can't use nuclear weapons and y'all can't do all of that stuff or whatever. And it's like, wait, but you have nuclear weapons, don't you? Can't you do that stuff? Yeah, but we're just saying y'all can't do that stuff. Well, why would you say that then? That means that you just want to come over here and take over us whenever you want to. We don't have no retaliation, and I'm not condoning no nuclear war. I'm just saying that, this is how they protect themselves. Freaking, who was it? What country was it? I don't want to say the wrong name, but there was a country that negotiated with the United States to get rid of their nuclear weapons, and then they did so. And then soon after, the United States went and invaded them, took over their country. What country was that? Can't think of it. This one, it says, U.S. moves to shield Saudi crown prince and journalist killing. Washington Post, AP. The Biden administration says Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, high office, should shield him from lawsuits over his role in the killing of U.S.-based journalists, making a turnaround from Joe Biden's passionate campaign trail denunciation of the prince over the brutal slaying. This is interesting right here. Let's read some of this. Because how the hell, bruh? How the hell can you be known to have killed a United States journalist and our government, the United States government, says, you know what? Y'all can't sue him. He can't be prosecuted in no kind of way. Y'all leave him alone. Why? What the hell? So like this is an example of being literally above the law right here. And then you have to ask yourself, why? Why them over others? Why this guy over other people? The United States will blow a whole damn country up, for doing the same thing if it was someone else. Make sure I'm not missing no comments. Let me scratch my comment screen. Okay, go back. All right, the Biden administration says Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's high office should shield him from lawsuit over his role in the killing of U.S.-based journalists, making a turnaround from Joe Biden's passionate campaign trail denunciation of Prince over the brutal slaying. The administration spoke out in support of a claim of legal immunity from Prince Mohammed, Saudi Arabia de facto ruler, who also recently took the title of prime minister, against a suit brought to the fiancé of slain Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi, and by the rights group Khashoggi founded, Democracy for Arab around the world, Democracy for Arab World Now. Jamal died again today. Khashoggi's fiancée Hatice Cengiz tweeted after the U.S. filing late Thursday in her lawsuit. The U.S. government finding of immunity for the Prince Mohammed, sometimes known as MBS, is non-binding, and the judge will ultimately decide whether to grant immunity. But it angered rights activists and risked blowback from Democratic lawmakers. The U.S. move came as Saudi Arabia has stepped up imprisonment and other retaliation against peaceful critics at home and abroad, and has cut oil production, and a move seen as undercutting efforts by the U.S. and its allies to punish Russia for its war against Ukraine. This is another part of this that's so interesting, right? So apparently, the U.S. is not very happy with Saudi Arabia because they want Saudi Arabia to line up with them on these, giving Russia a hard time, basically. The stuff with the pipeline, the stuff with the gas that Russia is fueling Europe with. But Saudi Arabia was like, nah, we not riding with y'all on this one. So, and then that happened recently. So then now the U.S. is like, okay, so maybe they're trying to be nice to Saudi Arabia. Maybe that'll get Saudi Arabia to line up with them on this Russia thing. Is that what you think that they're trying to do? Let me read some more. The State Department on Thursday called the administration's call to shield the Saudi crown prince from U.S. courts in Khashoggi's 2018 killing purely a legal determination. It cited what it called long-standing precedent. Y'all gonna make me vomit. Despite its recommendation to the court, the State Department said in its filing late Thursday that it takes no view on the merits of the present suit and reiterates its unequivocal condemnation of heinous murder of James Khashoggi. So how are you going to be on both sides of this? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me right now. It says, what did it say? Despite recommendation by the court, the State Department said its filing late Thursday that it takes no view on the merits of the present suit. No view on the merits of it. So basically, we don't care, or maybe it doesn't have merits, but we unequivocally condemn the heinous murder of Jamal Khashoggi. Okay, well, if you condemn the murder of Khashoggi, can you let his family get some retribution? Let me read some more. It says, Saudi officials killed Khashoggi at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. They are believed to have dismembered him, although his remains have never been found. The U.S. intelligence community concluded Saudi Arabia's crown prince had approved the killing of the widely known and respected journalist who had written critically of Prince Mohammed's harsh ways of silencing those who considered rivals or critics. Wow. So it's like, you write a story about me silencing my critics. So that makes you a critic. Now you have to be silenced. I'm going to send somebody to chop you up into pieces. It's a message. Don't talk about us. Let me read another comment. It says, the Biden administration statement Thursday noted visa restrictions and other penalties that it had meted out to lower-ranking Saudi officials in the death. Oh, you can't go to this country or that country as often as you want to, or this little time frame, or on this weekend or some shit. Like, talk about a slap on the wrist. That's not even a slap on the wrist. That's like a rubbing them with a feather. Why does the screen jump like this with these freaking ads? I hate it. Let me read some more. It says, from the earliest days of this administration, the United States government has expressed its grave concerns regarding Saudi agents' responsibility for Jamal Khashoggi's murder. The State Department said its statement did not mention the Crown Prince's own alleged role. Biden, as a Democratic president candidate, vowed to make a pariah out of Saudi's rulers over the 2018 killing. Of course he did. That's how you get freaking elected. And then after everyone forgets about it all, you go and do what the hell you was planning on doing, or whatever the hell. And people's not paying attention. Nobody's paying attention to this story right here. I bet you this ain't on nothing. You ain't going to see this anywhere, because they're not going to just keep covering this. Again, the people ain't going to care anyways. It's like the election is over. What are y'all talking about? Like, wait, hold on. When he was running for election, he said he was going to do this. Well, all politicians do that. Oh, my God. Y'all are so spineless. Let me read some more. I think it was a flat-out murder, Biden said in 2019 CNN town hall as a candidate, and I think we should have nailed it as that. I publicly said at the time we should treat it the way, and there should be consequences related to how we deal with those. That power. But that's not what you're doing now, buddy. Let me read some more. It says, but Biden, as president, has sought to ease tensions with the kingdom, including bumping fists with Prince Mohammed on a July trip to the kingdom, as the U.S. works to persuade Saudi Arabia to undo a series of cuts in oil production. And, I can't help but to think about Israel, too, because we were talking about Israel a lot last night. And it's like the relationship with the United States with Israel is strange. And the relationship with Saudi Arabia is strange. And they're very similar too. So it's kind of like, as far as apartheid, as far as human rights violations, stuff like that, Saudi Arabia, Israel, they're very high on that list, and they get a pass. And the United States goes in and blows countries up for doing a fraction of the stuff that Israel and Saudi Arabia do all the time. But we're buddy buddy with them, and it's like, okay, they go back to the weapons. Oh, you sell them weapons, or they sell us oil, or whatever. We have tech, the tech industry connection, or whatever. But see, where does the moral values come in? If that's what it is, it's like, okay, we're gonna give them a pass because they sell us oil or tech or something like that, or weapons, or we sell weapons to them. We make money off of it, so they're important partners. So hey, yeah, we can't say anything about the human rights abuses or apartheid or whatever the hell is going on over there. So, but I think it's more to it than that, though. There's a connection with the United States and Saudi Arabia and Israel more than that. And I think it has to do with the way that the United States moves, the way they treat people, the way they treat their own people. And when you want to talk about apartheid and human rights violations, it's the same. So it's like that bully, attitude. It's that I'm controlling, the totalitarian, the freaking screw the people. It's all about the oligarchy. And then it has to do with the Europeans too. It has to do with whiteness also, because you look at the guys in Saudi Arabia. Look how light-skinned those guys are. The Kingdom of Saud, and it's just all their family and shit. So, but the thing is, even in their country, they have a lot of brown people, but these people tend to take up that lower status, that lower class. So there goes another connection. Let me read a little bit more. I'm gonna move on. It says Khashoggi's fiance and Dawn sued the Crown Prince, has top aides and others in Washington federal court over their alleged role in Khashoggi's killing. Saudi Arabia says the prince had no direct role in the slaying. It's beyond ironic that President Bush has single-handedly assured MBS can escape accountability. It was President Biden who promised the American people he would do everything to hold him accountable, the head of Dawn, Sarah Leah Whitson, said in a statement using the prince's acronym. Biden in February 2021 had ruled out the U.S. government's imposing punishment on Prince Mohammed himself in the killing of Khashoggi, a resident of the Washington area. Biden speaking after he authorized release of classified versions of the intelligence community findings on Prince Mohammed's role in the killing, argued at the time there was no precedent for the U.S. to move against the leader of a strategic partner. There's no precedent for the U.S. to move against the leader of a strategic partner. Okay, so I guess that's the thing that's revealing right there. The leader of a strategic partner. Because them sending drone strikes to, extrajudicial killings to other, leaders of other countries is something that they've been doing for a while. Like, it's so foul too. Like, and then it's not accurate. They're going by the cell phones. They really be killing their family members and shit. They don't care though. It's all about that terror, right? So, but that's something to think about. What did he say? No precedent for the U.S. to move against the leader of a strategic partner. No precedent for the U.S. to move against the leader of a strategic partner. Because, like I say, man, they'll send drones and blow somebody up for the smallest, littlest thing. This guy killed a United States journalist. He gets a pass. He don't even get... not only does he not get no kind of like law enforcement, but there can't even be a civil against him. They're blocking that even. And they have all this evidence, video of the shit. Anyways, I'm going to move on from this one. That's kind of emotional right there. Because the hypocrisy drives me crazy. Because people are just going to argue me down about that. Or are they going to say it doesn't matter? This one, it says, school struggles to staff up for mental health crisis. Mira Ugwadu felt anxious and depressed when she returned to her high school in Cobb County, Georgia, last fall after months of remote learning. So she sought help. But her school counselor kept rescheduling their meetings because she had so many students to see. And the whole thing with that, too, is like post-COVID, everything is still really slow with that. And like you can't do like these regular, at my school, you know, you have to schedule appointments with these counselors. Like before, you could just, they were in the office and you know, you could just walk in there and chop it up with them if they're not doing nothing, if they're, you know, if they're not busy. But now you got to schedule appointments, and it's so crazy. You know, I just went to the post office. I was trying to get my visas, uh, and you know, that whole thing is so antiquated and retarded. Like, anyways, I just feel like, you know, they're making it even more difficult for you to access services ever since COVID, and they haven't lifted that shit. It's still really extra. It was difficult before. They made it even more difficult during COVID, and that has continued. It's really difficult to get help or whatever, or to schedule. You have to schedule appointments, and then they're like, go to the website, and the website is like a freaking goddamn circle, you know, a loop that they send you on, that you just continue to go on this loop, never getting nothing done. It's so irritating. You can't call anyone. You cannot get them on the phone. All you get is these automated freaking messages telling you to go online. There goes the other part of the loop. Oh my God. Anybody else shares that frustration? Oh my God, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't even want to read this about the mental health crisis because, you know, again, that goes back to COVID. We all freaking feeling it. A lot of us are feeling it. And we already don't have, first off, we have a bad attitude related to mental health. Like, it's embarrassing and you're not supposed to be strong, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You don't need, but we're all feeling that way. And then, so I say it's an attitude that's bad on it. And then it's expensive to go through the process of getting help in that way. And then on top of that, they make it extra difficult because of the COVID restrictions that are still in place. It's like, oh my God, the squeeze, the big squeeze. They're squeezing the hell out of us multiple ways. Damn, why does this green screen look so bad? Fuck it. My voice is tired, so I'm gonna go and play these little clips I have here.
Also continue.
Barbara, thank you. I represented Madison County in Congress for many years.
Andrea.
It's nice to see you.
Awkward exchange.
You know, when I think about
This freedom based on Roe also continue.
Why is
Barbara, thank you. I represented Madison County in Congress for many years.
Andrea.
It's nice to see you. You know, when I think about
This freedom
he's
based
so
on
uncomfortable?
Roe also continue.
Barbara, thank you. I represented Madison County in Congress for many years.
Why is this person
Andrea.
the one making
Nice
this
to see you.
argument? This person can't have kids. If
You know, when I think about
if you
This
transitioned,
freedom based on Roe also continue.
Barbara, thank you. I represented Madison County in Congress for many.
he is so uncomfortable. Look at his face, so uncomfortable. I don't even want to talk to this person. Why y'all got this person up here asking me questions? I don't give a damn what their name is. You, he, she. Go ask somebody else a question. I don't care what your name is. He should have apologized that he said the wrong name. He just said, oh, I'm sorry. Your name is, okay, my bad, or whatever. But he didn't. And I think that's part where his big pause was right there. He was thinking about a whole bunch of stuff. Like, is this a dude? Is this a woman? Their name is what? His brain was just going. He couldn't get none of that out. So it was just a pause. That's pretty funny, I ain't gonna lie. Pence being, because There's a whole
okay.
Not
Okay.
to give a political speech.
Okay.
there's a whole history related to like the people joking about Pence being like in the closet. That's what they're saying anyways, and it's like because he's super religious. And anyways, if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, I'm gonna move on because I'm gonna make everybody mad. Why is it?
Now Hillary Clinton.
Mr. Trump, I invited you here to thank us for what we've done in Flint,
Okay.
not
Okay.
to give a political speech.
Okay. That's good. And I'm going to go back onto Flint. Okay. Okay. Flint's pain is a result of so many different failures. And I must say that no, I never would.
That's crazy. How old is this clip? There's like the black lady came over there, bruh. We don't want you to be political. We off that right now. He was like, I'm sorry. How old is this clip? Why is this on my timeline for now? Let's see. It reminds me of when Trump went to a black church to talk about water crisis in Flint. And when he started going into a speech bashing Hillary Clinton, the pastor got him all the way together. How old is this? Because that's got to be old as hell. Mentioning freaking Hillary Clinton because she's not in nothing no more. Oh, that's the part where he paused. So that apparently that was going viral. How old is this too? It must be recent. They got if they're making gifs about it. Oh, that was the underneath the tweet. Yeah, that was the thread. That's freaking funny.
For me, the hours come for a new generation. I will not seek re-election to Democratic leadership in the next Congress. For me, the hours come for a new generation to lead the Democratic caucus that I so deeply respect. It's been my privilege to play a part in forging extraordinary.
So she's not
progress for the American people. I have enjoyed working with 3 presidents, achieving historic investments in clean energy with President George Bush. Transformative healthcare reform with President Barack Obama.
pleased with herself. A little giggle.
And forging the future, from infrastructure to healthcare to climate action with President Joe Biden.
Yeah, so she's no longer going to be the speaker. She's doing her victory lap or whatever, her legacy speech.
No men. We will not let men, as an example, participate in women's sports. Is that okay? No men. We will not let men, as an example, participate in women's sports. Is that okay? No men.
I ain't gonna lie, I agree with him on that. I think that's crazy how they got that, hey, how can your rights infringe on somebody else's rights by you being born a man and now you're a UFC fighter and now you're beating the crap out of these women who were born women. Like, I think that's insane. I'm sorry. I think that your rights are infringing on that natural woman's rights. So your right to, it's fine. You can transition, but don't go into sports and in the new gender. That's not right. It's not right. I'm sorry. You know, and Trump was talking about the where's the clip on him talking about locking giving people that sell drugs the death penalty. Where's that clip? Is that on this thread? Anyways, I guess I'll come back to that. But yeah, that's crazy. If the, you know that I know he's just talking. I know he's just talking. He's already starting to campaign for president. So he's just saying those things that get people all riled up or whatever, emotional. He really just wants y'all to vote. So, you know, it's a good tactic if you look at it that way. But at the same time, it's kind of crazy to say you're going to, you know, kill people who sold drugs. Like, does that not sound extra? They was talking about the guy in the Philippines, and he does that. And they was like saying, oh, it's so horrible. It's so atrocious. That's what they were saying. Like, it's terrible that this guy is doing that. So, but then the president's saying that. So now, I don't know.
But having, lost the House, people are, I think, rightly focused on some of the things that Joe issue areas that progressives might be excited about. But having, lost the House, people are, I think, rightly focused on some of the things that Joe Biden promised to do via executive order, like student debt cancellation, which has recently hit a hang-up in the courts. Student debt advocates at Strike Debt, like Asher Taylor, have pointed out that if Biden had not means tested the program and had used the compromise and settlement authority that exists under the Higher Education Act instead of the HEROES Act, which relies on an emergency COVID status for the debt to be canceled, then he would not have encountered the legal obstacles that he's encountered now. What do you say to people who say, what difference does it make to have more progressives in office if we can't get Biden to follow through on these basic promises that he could enact via executive order?
Well, the progressives in Congress in the last one helped with the largest climate investment in the history of the country, made sure that we had an expansion of the child tax credit. Now we're pushing for it to be permanent, but that cut dramatically child poverty, massive investment in our schools. So we got a considerable amount done. And of course, it was our activism that got the president to forgive some of the student loans. Some of us are pushing for even more. Now, if there is another way to do it that would meet the criteria of this court, then we'll advocate that. And the president can, I'm sure, use that authority if he needs to. But I think what he has done is legal, and we should be fighting for the legality of what he has done.
But Representative Khan, of course, no debt has been canceled thus far because of the means-tested nature of it. Conservatives were able to mount these challenges. And even progressive commentators like Jed Sugarman at Fordham Law School have pointed out that under the legal authority that Joe Biden has chosen, it is likely that it's not just that conservative judges will rule against this if it gets to the Supreme Court, but that all judges, this could be a 9-0 decision, because the hook using the HEROES Act, a post 9/11 authority, is a relatively weak one. Do you have any insight into why Joe Biden chose to use the HEROES Act as opposed to using the Higher Education Act, which is the authority under which student loan debt is currently being postponed?
I don't know the details of the legal decisions. I mean, my understanding is he asked his lawyers, his legal team, what was the best way to do this, and this was the recommendation. But this is easily fixed. I mean, if there is a better way to do it, I'm sure the administration will. The important thing, though, is to note that many people in the administration still believe that this is a winnable case, and it was a Republican-appointed judge who struck it down. So we need to fight to ensure that the Republican Party and their judges aren't taking away student debt relief. And again, if we need something to fix it in Congress in the lame duck, or if the president has other means to do it, then we should be open to that if this fails for some reason.
That's why I like Briahna Joy Gray so much. Those questions were great. And you heard the wiggling that he did in his answers. And then it's like, oh, the Republicans, that's what they always say. That's what I say is good cop, bad cop. or we can't get nothing done because of those guys over there. Every time we try to do something, they freaking, but that's not true. That's BS. That's all the way bullshit. And that's what they do. And it's just about getting votes, and people just talk and don't do anything. Some people might have a problem with the student loan debt, forgiveness or whatever, but whatever. But then if the Democrats have control of everything, then they should be able to push it through. Boom, whatever. It's done. So that's it. But then they're like, oh no, we can't do it because of the Republicans or whatever. And then it just becomes that again. And all of a sudden, instead of us talking about how to get things done and how to move forward, what legislations we should be fixing things, making things better, we start talking about the other guy and them being obstructionists and pointing fingers. That's why we can't get nothing done, because of those guys over there. That is exhausting. Good cop, bad cop. Two wings on the same bird. And the people just get screwed as a result. There's no. Anyways. I want to read some more, but my voice is tired. Panel okay's name change of Colorado mountain tied to massacre. Oath Keeper January 6th sedition case moves to closing arguments. Asian stocks mixed after Wall Street falls on rate hike warriors. Oh yeah, Taylor Swift. I did want to talk about this. Let me see. Ticketmaster canceling next Taylor Swift concert ticket sale. So I want to talk about this because this shows another thing that is wrong that's going on. So it's like Taylor Swift hadn't been on tour in 4 or 5 years or so, and she announced a new tour, and the tickets went on sale, and all of the websites crashed and shit. And then the other part of that, I saw some of those tickets were like $95,000 or some shit, like a totally ridiculous, all the way ridiculous, gross, absurd. I no hate for Taylor Swift, make your money, these people willing to pay that for you to come see you, then boom, you must be providing something for them that they're willing to experience, that they're willing to pay that for. So it's whatever. But the flip side of that is the thing with Ticketmaster. So, right, again, earlier I was talking about the damn monopolies, oligarchies. This Ticketmaster thing shows another problem. Earlier I was talking about how, Amazon fired all those people, and Facebook fired all those people, Twitter fired all those people, and freaking so Ticketmaster pretty much has a monopoly on this. If it was other companies that were doing the same thing, then people could have access to getting these tickets. You know what I'm saying? They have to go through the same damn website, and all of the people are on there. And then you got all the scalpers and people buying multiple tickets and all of this. They're hitting the websites all at the same time. And it's freaking one company like doing the shit, and they can't handle it. So this is another thing. Like I be talking about, like our food. We were talking about the grocery stores and how they are freaking consolidating even more and more. And so again, the thing is with this, when your market is weak, when it has a monopoly, because if one of those main people, they fail, something goes wrong, let's say with the food, a bunch of food gets contaminated, or who knows, this remember when we had the baby formula shortage. That was related to that. Only a few companies did that, and the baby formula was contaminated or whatever. So they didn't have no baby formula across the damn whole ass nation, because it's only a few that do it. So this is it with the Ticketmaster. They only do it so, you know, this, they can't even buy, she can't even sell her damn tickets. I know y'all not hearing me. Let me read this. It says Ticketmaster canceling next Taylor Swift concert ticket sale. It says Ticketmaster says it's canceling Friday's planned general public sale for Taylor Swift's upcoming stadium tour because it doesn't have enough tickets. The decision came 2 days after a pre-sale event caused the site to crash and left many fans without tickets. The ticketing company said in a statement Thursday, 2 million tickets to the Eras tour next year were sold during pre-sale on Tuesday, the most tickets ever sold on the platform in a single day. Ticketmaster cited extraordinarily high demands on ticketing systems and inefficient remaining ticket inventory to meet the demand as a reason for calling off Friday's sale. So, but look, this is your job. This is what you do. This is the only thing that you do. You're making excuses that it's a bunch of people who freaking came on your site and did all and order this. That's your job. That's what you do. You're failing. You suck. So that's the reason why people need to have other options to get this service taken care of. Somebody else can handle it, I bet. Get your shit together. Questions remain about how remaining tickets and how many will be sold, but Ticketmaster said about 1.5 million fans who had gone through an early verification process called Verified Fan were invited to purchase tickets, and the remaining 2 million were placed on a waiting list. A company representative said Ticketmaster is not involved in ticket resales for Swift shows. It's been a record year for Swift after releasing her latest album, Midnights, which also broke a Billboard record. The 52-day Eras tour kicks off March 17th in Glendale, Arizona, and wraps up with 5 shows in Los Angeles, ending August 9th. International dates will be announced as well. It's Swift's first tour since 2018. But fans and families around the country battled it out with long queues and error messages to try to race to the checkout cart. Ticketmaster said that the site was overwhelmed both by real people and bot attacks, resulting in unprecedented traffic on their site. The statement said about 15% of interactions with the site had problems, including errors that caused people to lose tickets after they had waited in an online queue. While it's impossible for everyone to get tickets to these shows, we know we can do more to improve the experience. No fucking shit. And that's what we're focused on, the company statement said. So they want to blame it on bots. So maybe the bots did have some impact on that. Regardless, you should have something to deal with that. This is what you do. This is what you do. So you need to have something to deal with bots. And you need to be able to provide for these people, no matter how many of them are getting on there. And if it's too much for you to handle, then you need to give away some of your responsibility. Okay? You need to delegate the responsibility to somebody else who can handle it. Anyways, I think that's crazy. All these oligarchies, all of these monopolies, our market is weak as hell. They say it's a free market, but it is not. Oh yeah, I did kind of want to cover some weather. I saw some clips. I got one on Instagram. Let me play that. That shows, I think it was New York. People are catching these snow flurries. They're getting the weather, extreme weather events. Let me see. Is it in here? I'm pretty sure it is. Oh yeah, and I got to make fun of freaking Herschel Walker. He's a meme. I got to.
I don't know if this Mazenette has ever seen, but even though it's only been snowing for a few hours, we are getting snow curls on the bottom of the This is easily the most snow that this Maisonette has ever seen, but even though it's only been snowing for a few hours, we are getting snow curls on the bottom of the rack edge here.
Yeah, nah. I don't think that's the one I wanted. There's one where they're showing, they're playing the wind, and you can like hear it. Hold on, let me see. It's not in here? Fuck, where did it go? I could have swore I put it in there. I guess I didn't. Or it's not there, it got deleted. Or it's a private account.
Oh, you ever watch a stupid movie late at night hoping it's going to get better, don't get better, but you keep watching it anyway? Because the other night I was watching this movie. I was watching this movie called Freak Night, or some kind of night, but it was about vampires. I don't know if you know vampires are cool people, are they not? But I'm going to tell you something that I found out. A werewolf can kill a vampire. Did you know that? I never knew that, so I didn't want to be a vampire anymore. I wanted to be a werewolf. But then anyway, as I'm watching this movie, and then you tell how stupid it is because it's 1 a.m. So I'm watching my TV. These kids watching their TV, vampire kill on their TV. So you know it's kind of stupid, but I'm still watching though. As I'm watching this show, what was funny, these kids had a vampire in their attic at their house. So they were watching their TV. Now I'm watching my TV as they watching their TV, or they see the vampire killer on their TV. So they win this contest to bring this actor. Now y'all got to stay with me. Bring this actor who's a vampire killer from that TV to get rid of this real life vampire in their attic. So as this actor comes to their home, he got all the right stuff. He got all the right stuff because, you know, got to have a stake and got to have a thing to kill him in the heart. And he got a necklace of garlic because that worked. I don't know what it does, but it worked. You got to have a cross because it burns. I know that worked. And then all of a sudden, this is what was so funny about it. As they're walking through the house, this guy got the holy water. He's blessing the house, this actor. Now he's all fake. He's blessing the house with this holy water. They walked upstairs and this vampire looking real good in this black suit. Whoa, that sounds like Senator Warnock, doesn't it? Looking all good in this black suit, floated from the ceiling. He floated from the ceiling looking good and cool. And I'm thinking, whoa, they better get out of that house. If somebody float from your ceiling, get out of that house. That's not your house. But as he floated from the ceiling, the kids jumped behind their hero. As they jumped behind their hero, the guy jumped in front of him with this holy water, threw it on the vampire's forehead. He covered his eye. And he took his hand away. He started laughing. And he said, that don't work. He took the cross, he put it on the vampire's forehead. And the vampire didn't even do anything. He said, that don't work. And that's the way it is in our life. It doesn't work unless you got faith. It is time for us to have faith. We got to have faith in our fellow brother. We got to have faith in this country. We got to have faith in the elected officials. And right now, that's the reason I'm here. Because God, I want to tell you to keep the faith. Keep the faith. Oh, you ever watch a stupid movie?
Oh my God. Okay, I guess he had a good point as far as like, you know, it doesn't work unless you have faith, but I don't know about telling that story and the way he told it. I don't know, man. I'm trying not to really just. It's okay. This is the caption says, this is a real video from Georgia GOP Senate candidate Herschel Walker's speech. J Mac posted this. He says, y'all really voting for this guy? I don't know if you know, but vampires are some cool people, are they not? Walker said, but let me tell you something that I found out. A werewolf can kill a vampire. Do you know that? I never knew that. So I don't want to be a vampire anymore, Walker added. Without further context, I want to be a werewolf. Somebody said many blows to the head. It was a joke. It made me laugh because they said he played football when the helmets were made out of leather. I don't think that's true.
When the helmets were what?
Made out of leather.
No. It ain't been that long ago. Shit, that was in the 40s, 50s maybe.
But that's
he played
funny.
in the 80s.
Yeah.
Late 80s at that. At late 80s, 90s, something like that. Yeah. But,
yeah, that's funny though.
Yeah. Nah, it's funny, bro. But you know, I'm gonna tell you, man. If I was in Georgia, just based on, you know, the ability to fight against some of the things that Warnock is gonna be way wide open for is, you know, because I mean, honestly, I don't really know what's going on with our political structure, period, because like they're not giving us the best of the best. Like they're giving us, like, you know, very, very mediocre. Even the ones that talk well are very mediocre because they're, I mean, if you're more so about the money or trying to make friends, like you're not, you know what I'm saying? Like if you just so happen to become friends, but if you're going out of the way, you know, doing things against your constituents, your people, the people that you represent, like I'd rather not have friends, you know, because you're not doing your job anymore. You know, you're not representing the people, you're representing yourself and this friendship. So the whole thing that I really do like about Walker is the fact that, look, I'm going there to do, you know, the bidding for you. And whether he talks well or not, what's in his heart is more so what matters to me than what comes, you know, out, you know, how he speaks. Because he does, you know, I mean, we all hear it. He doesn't have the you know, fluent speech of his own language, but I think overall his purpose is there, and it's to meet the needs of the people.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, it's a shame. Like I mean, like I said, I mean, we're still talking about Trump as president. You know what I'm saying? Like that was supposed to be a fluke to begin with too. You know what I'm saying? But you know, and we have to blame. I think because I mean, the Democrats are so good. Like they're so you know, like what, except for a few of them, like they speak very well, but their agenda is more important than trying to get things for the people. And I don't know, I think I sent you a thing earlier today. It's like these parties don't do anything because after they fix the problems, they're not needed anymore. You know, like if they really fix what's necessary, because I mean, it really should be things that's already done and in place that will make the world, you know, our world work easy and, you know, peacefully and all that. But if they fix the problems, then they don't have a job no more. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I think we're really experiencing is people who's trying to preserve a paycheck for themselves, where, you know, if they do too much for the people, then what else is there for them to do? I don't know.
Yeah, they said they had a big, let me play this. It's like a gang bust. I think that's what this one is.
That have been going on here for quite some time. Now, what we're hearing is from the Manhattan DA's office, more than 100 suspects are being indicted today. And this is one of the largest numbers of gangs that they've taken down as part of what's called Operation Crew Cut. This was begun under Commissioner Kelly back in 2010, working with the Manhattan DA. And these gang members were basically, according to authorities, acting as if they had total impunity to do their dirty business and put it out on Facebook and other social media outlets. And they were bragging about it, not realizing that law enforcement was hip to them. They had developed codes that were so sophisticated that the DA's office had to actually come up with almost a textbook of code language to explain to prosecutors and police what they were talking about when they were making threats against rival gang members, and also threatening to do other things in the community that many people here were very, very upset by. So a major bust this early this morning took place here at the Grand Houses. We're also hearing from sources that one of the suspects who was picked up might have been connected with the murder of that high school aspiring female high school basketball player a couple of years ago, the one who had won a Division I scholarship and was on her way to a female basketball star career. So there's a lot to this case, and investigators feeling very satisfied with what happened this morning. They also picked up some other people not necessarily involved with these cases who had outstanding warrants, because what we've learned from being out here this morning is they have hand scanners, portable hand scanners cameras, almost like mini iPads that they can take, scan people as they're doing these raids and picking up other people who are wanted for outstanding violations and other outstanding crimes. So a very busy morning here. More than 400 police officers, very specialized units from the NYPD, the gang unit leading off on it, the OCCB, the Organized Crime Control Bureau, Narcotics Division, and also the Public Housing Police, who are very familiar with many of these suspects and have been aware of their activities. So what they're calling a successful operation. There'll be many more details on this later on this afternoon at police headquarters at 2 o'clock, where Police Commissioner Bratton, as well as Manhattan DA Cyrus Vance, will be holding a news conference to explain the full total effect of what happened today and also where these indictments are going. But the police and the prosecutors are sending a very clear message to these gang members who are trying to spread their name and spread terror through social media, and also to the hardworking people who live in these developments, that this will not be tolerated. And no matter how much code they throw around, they're going to crack it and they're going to get them. That's the message we're sending out here today. We're live in Harlem. I'm Lisa Evers, Fox 5 News. Rowan, Greg, back to you.
Lisa, great scoop. A wild takedown. Give us an idea. Do you know the gangs, their names? We've heard of the Crips, the Bloods, but are they that? Can you take us through that a little bit? Do you know the gang names?
Well, Greg, this is the thing. They've changed. They're called crews now because they're much more localized, and many of them are localized in the housing developments themselves. And in the Grant houses, it was the Stack 3 crew or Stack 3 gang. That's what they called themselves. There are two other ones from this particular project, Manhattanville. They were affiliated with each other, and what they do is they each have their own little turf. And then if there's a bigger problem facing them, like a bunch of them are in prison or in jail on Rikers Island, they'll form what they call affiliates, and they'll unite with each other against others. So the traditional gangs that we've heard about in the past, like the Bloods and the Crips, are not really what the authorities are seeing here operating on the streets of New York City. They're much more localized. They post these videos online. They make a name for themselves, and then they go to war with other people. Sometimes investigators are telling me for no reason at all. This is the other thing that's different about this gang activity that they've been really working to get a handle on since 2010, whereas the gangs of old were organized around specific trades like drug dealing, like prostitution, that type of thing. Sometimes these gang members, they just start beef with other gang members, have shootouts, and end up killing people for no particular reason at all, and very young ages too, some of them, as young as 13 and 14. So that's a concern. The police department wants to get a handle on this, especially as the summer is beginning. Greg? Yeah.
Right. Lisa, round up.
So, a couple of key things that jump out to me from that is hardworking people. She said dirty business. And then kids as young as 13 and 14. And then the part where she said, it was hundreds of people, hundreds of gang members arrested. And then she said, well, it was also people who were just had warrants, that they were scanning them, I guess their fingerprints, and, oh, you got a warrant, you're going too. So it's like, how many of those people were actual gang members, and how many of them just had some tickets that they didn't pay, And then they talking about the gang members, these violent gang members, and then she's saying they're 13 and 14. These are children. These are kids. They need guidance, not to be locked up, And then the part where she say hardworking people. So it's like that stuck out to me too, because it's like these guys, these gang members, they're doing their dirty business and affecting the hardworking people, like the people who pay taxes, the people who go to their job, the people who do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Well, the biggest problem I see with a lot of this is that, the state, they don't really take responsibility for, when things are happening with kids or whatever, if they're in a position they take, let's just say somebody says that the kid is not being taught properly by their child, and they can come and take the child from the parent, are they really assuming any real responsibility of trying to get this child back on track, or to, give them guidance that they may be missing at home or in the neighborhood, within their community? So that's the part that, because you can't, it's almost as if, that whole is not, I know it's not just a saying, it's real, because the whole school to pipeline school to prison pipeline is like, this is how this stuff really begins. If they're misguided, instead of, having a program that can get them back on track so that they can be, productive people in the society, no, they just gonna get locked away and be called. They're already labeling them criminals. You know what I'm saying? Like, words are powerful, and if they keep hearing that, they start to say, oh well, I ain't nothing but a criminal. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna start saying it,
and they believe it, and then they're gonna act it out. And if they go to jail, they're just gonna be around terrible people who are gonna be leading them in the wrong direction.
Make them worse. It's gonna teach them how to be even better criminal. So
it's fucked up. It's a really terrible cycle and system that we have going on. Anyways, what did you see? You saw some stuff this morning. What did you say? You sent me some stuff.
I sent a few things this morning, maybe even late last night. But because I couldn't go to sleep right away after the show. But it was I don't know. I guess some of because I think we touched on some of it last night in the show. And I'm actually driving, so I can't really search through it. I'm broadcasting from my phone, so it's gonna be kind of hard for me to go through it anyway. But I'm trying to think.
Discovered in Bill Gates vaccines.
Oh yeah, there's different things that that people are seeing, like the stuff that was even before this period of what we're seeing now is stuff that he was doing even before now that's got like showing, I guess you could say stuff to stop their reproductive process, like them not being able to reproduce themselves. It's things that they've been proven to show that things that he was involved with, that's what it does. There's a lot of things that's going on. I don't know if you really want to touch bases on a lot of that, because
we could talk about it. We just got to be careful with this one. But they have been it's historical. There's a historical precedent related to black and brown people being making them not be able to make babies, sterilizing them, the men and the women.
Now, was it us that did we talk about? I don't know if it was just something that I saw myself, but when they made the point that we've reached over the 8 billion.
Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah,
people. Well, I mean, this is like obviously a thing, and they're like beating around the bush of what this really means for them and for us. Like they're sending out their dog whistles, pretty much kind of like, all right, we gotta tighten up our game, because like I said, it's too many people out here now.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
And the growth is coming in mostly in African countries, India, and yes, these are brown and black people.
Well,
where most of the growth is coming.
Yeah, and I believe that a lot of like, with us ignoring, like the majority of us ignoring what's really happening there and what they really mean when they say this stuff, is more reason for us to, stand up and, like, am I saying to take to the streets with your guns? Not necessarily. I mean, if it comes to that, I mean, yeah, be prepared. But honestly, like, we really got to fight back, like, because most of us were killed on paper. Like, we got to remember that. Like, a lot of the genocide that happened, it was paper genocide.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And things that, like, more power came from them using the pen than they did from the sword. So, like, we really have to get involved and be able to turn some of these things around, because we are showing our competence. You know what I'm saying? We have to activate and show these people that, look, this world would be just fine without you. Because that's what I like. A lot of it is saying. Like, I don't know if you remember the when Biden first got in office and he had that conversation with a bunch of the quote unquote black leaders, that he's like, we got to be concerned. We got to get together with these Latinos and blah blah blah, because we got to.
Breaking up. You're breaking up. I can't hear you. Let me play this and we'll come back. You still breaking up. Let me play this. I'm gonna come back.
These excess deaths. So why?
Oh wait. Yeah, I can hear you. I don't hear you if you're talking now. This video right here says, "Why are they hiding this? We need answers." Let me play this.
These excess deaths. So
I heard you a little bit.
Are so many people dying this year when you compare it with last year? Now, I say something is worth investigating, wouldn't you? Like, how many of you actually think that we should start looking into this more deeply? I do. A few weeks ago, we brought you the data. The data is absolutely troubling on the significant rise in excess deaths in the UK and the stunning data in the United States. Now, the data shows that young people are dying at an alarming rate. Many of these people are from the age of 0 to 24 years old. So that's an awful number, right? We can see people, okay, over 60, over 66 years old, over 65 years old. I get it, right? Maybe there's seasonal adjustments and but 0 to 24 years old? What the hell's happening here? A few weeks ago, we saw this. This is towards the end of September. We showed you this chart. Now, this is from the CDC. Okay, this is the CDC's own website. And in red X's at the top there, what you can see are these are all excess. All of the areas where there's like little plus signs above that red line that looks like a wave. Okay, all of those above that are excess. Abnormal, and it's growing. Now, if you look at the current trajectory of excess deaths in the United States, take a look at this. Now, we'll get to the UK in a second, but look at the current excess deaths. This is from this afternoon, okay? This is the CDC's own website data. So just look here as we track up, and you can see as we continue to go up this steep hill, climbing, and continuing to grow. Excess deaths the week of this ending last week, okay, the 43rd week. Look at that, astonishing. And the cumulative excess deaths in the United States from 0 to 64 years old. From 0 to 64 years old, okay? Now, if we scroll down a little bit more, and you'll see from that's 65 plus right there, okay, that's a little bit higher. But then look at this, 0 to 24 years old. 0 to 24 years old. Astonishing. Look at that chart. I mean, it's not hard to, you sort of sit there with when I look at, like, my mouth's open when I'm looking at these data points, Well,
and that's the thing.
It's like a ski slope.
We expect our mainstream media to why aren't they going through these numbers? Why is this? I just cannot comprehend why these people live in our society. They have kids. They have friends of their kids. Like, why are they not concerned with these numbers and talking about this on mainstream media? Like, we could potentially, I don't think we will now, because I think the narrative is starting to open up a little bit and YouTube's getting more lax on their rules. But at one point, if we talked about this very thing, we would be suspended.
And I spent this afternoon because I had a lot of data points that I wanted to hit on. So I'm sitting there. Look, YouTube provides us with the largest possible audience. I mean, hopefully, you watching right now, I mean, we've got upwards of 30,000 people on all of our platforms combined watching right now. I mean, think about that. Like, Coldplay is putting on a concert in London, and the crowd size is 20,000, right? So there are more people watching our show right now than at a Coldplay concert. This Christmas concert coming up in London. That's crazy. And so we have a large audience on YouTube. And when I go through the terms of service and I'm looking at, okay, what are we allowed to say? Because I love Rumble and all of our Rumble watchers as well. But we are able to reach so many more people to spread this news. It's, sad but true, right? And so we've been totally deplatformed on Facebook. We've been blocked and banned and shadow banned. We can't, anything we publish on there is like no views at all, 0, because they block it. So I have to go through the terms of service on YouTube to find out what specifically are we even allowed to talk about. Now they've adjusted their COVID guidelines. They've kind of flip-flopped on where they were last year, which we covered here on the show. And then, of course, we've now things have changed so much that we have to kind of check it on a weekly basis almost, we have to go in and see, okay, did they change this now? Can we talk about, what can we say on the vaccines? What can we say about booster shots? It's ridiculous. And I think some of this stuff is
that's become like one of my favorite hobbies. It's just that my weekly, okay, what are the rules on YouTube this week? So,
yeah, I know it's kind
Yeah, man. So being careful talking about this. So very few people are covering this, but I have been seeing it floating around here and there because COVID is over, right? For the most part. I mean, they can't really just say, some people are still dying from COVID, but the numbers are way low. But the number of deaths are still really high in the United States and UK, where we have good data.
Australia, Poland, all the European countries are being highly affected. And that's where, I see a lot of the news. This is the first, American place that I've seen in a while that actually speaks about it. And openly and honestly speaking about it. And, it's he's surprised that our mainstream media was don't be surprised, because they're trained to they have specific instruction to stay away from the charts and the proof and all these things because of what can follow. So
and it's been a lot of random heart attacks,
there's a whole
young people are having heart attacks.
Well, the ADS, wait a minute, no, what is it? Adult sudden ASD, yeah. Adult sudden death syndrome is what these people are starting to say now. And, because, there was at one point, sudden infant death, but that's from some, complications in birth or, something like that. But we're talking about somebody who has no complication for 30 years, 20 years, or however long, and then all of a sudden they're falling.
Just drop dead randomly. Seemingly healthy person.
And most people don't, especially if they participated in the process, they don't want to admit that that's the problem.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of factors though. I think it's that, the jab is part of it, but I think there's other stuff too, because it's we were talking about the drugs, the marijuana, and how that shit is,
oh wow, yeah,
it's got stuff in it, and people are smoking it, and it's killing them, literally making them have heart attacks. You got the damn the freaking fentanyl is in all the damn pills.
Well, there's another thing that I saw. I think I sent you last night was the accusation at the least that some of these attacks, heart attacks, are happening from phone interaction. How how much proof is there? I'm not sure. This is just something I saw, and it was just seemed like as soon as they answered the phone, that's when they started, having this issue. So, I mean, I don't know how much of it to trust just yet, but I think with a lot of these nanoparticles that is, being injected into people's bodies, and then the interference with the radiation, and it can have. I mean, I can see how it could have an effect if you got high levels of metal in your body.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think a lot of it is despair too. Us coming out of the pandemic and the big squeeze. People are struggling to pay bills. People are struggling just to buy food, and they're stressing out. So the stress, the drugs, the jab, all of these combinations together got people walking around here dropping like flies.
well, and I mean, I could see that. I mean, I guess, but I could see how that could potentially be an issue, but I don't know. I don't know if I would put those, especially the stress deaths and all this, in high numbers. Like, I mean, I think we need to be more realistic with what's provable, what's what makes more sense. So I mean, not to say that that it's impossible that some of these things that you're mentioning is a part of these deaths, but in high levels, the way that they're showing, I don't think so. I think we need to focus more on because I mean, it's really like, if anybody is in the chat and they want to know how to get some detox some of these things, I have a place I can send you. I know a few places, but get in touch, because I mean, I'm not gonna tell you here on TV, but I will give you the information you need if you want to try to detox some of these things out. And even if you've been around people who have it and the shedding might be getting to you, like that might warrant the detox as well. So, and I mean, we should do it anyway. I mean, Ramadan is coming up next month. That'll be like really December. The month of December will be a good time to start doing some detoxing, fasting, and allowing some of these things to, come out of your body. And that way we can start a new year with, a clear mind, clear body, and, just, we can be better people overall. But I think that's something that we really need to look at, because that's something that I mean, all of these things we need to look at. I'm not, but I think there's some things that we need to look at a little bit harder than others.
Let me play some more of this.
Over that already. They've literally got that in there. They've got the German election. I mean, don't ask questions. Don't ask questions. So what we try to do here is provide you with the data. You make your own assessment. This is coming right from the CDC's website. Okay, these are not my opinion. These are not my data points. These are the CDC's guidelines and website data. Okay, so look at this. This is the state-by-state breakdown of this data. Just to be clear, YouTube, this is the CDC's data. So this is the cumulative, just general average, okay, of increased excess deaths. And here, that's 6%. That's a 6% here at the top. Okay, now it goes state by state. So as we scroll down here, this is the excess deaths in Alabama. That's, and look at these studies, 24% in Arizona increase. 13%. Jeez. Arkansas, excess deaths, or 7% as of last week. Look at this one. 14% in California. And then you get some weird ones like in Colorado, down 7%. Connecticut down. So then that weights the average down. So when with the beginning we showed you that 6%, but then look at these increases all across these states. Delaware, massive increases, right? The District of Columbia, oddly, really, really down for some reason this past week. And then Florida up. All of these states up, 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 up. And in the UK. So let's talk about the UK, a stunning bit of news, a new data since we last reported this. Here's the Telegraph. This Telegraph story is really.
I think the states where where it's going down, that would be where I would focus. I would want to know more about that. And then like,
what's
did
happening
these people
in those states?
Right. What's happening in those states? Did these people take the jab? Did these people, are they stressing out? How much is food cost there? That's the kind of stuff I'd want to know. What about the drugs and all of that? Like, what's going on in those states?
Well, and that's definitely should be a focal point, because I mean, those numbers, like just like we're looking at the chart of the deaths, like I mean, yeah, let's see what's different about those states than some of the others. What's the actual levels? Just like all those things that you just mentioned. So
yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah,
because
I mean, if we're really trying to resolve, if we're really trying to fix the problem, if we're trying to resolve it, if this is just talking points, something to just talk about, oh well, I guess it don't matter. But if we really trying to resolve problems, yeah, like we need to take it a little bit further than what we're doing.
Yeah, let me play
opening, and you should all read it. It's unfortunately it's a subscription service. I hate that I have to pay for some of these big publications like this.
I know. That's what I was just saying earlier. That headline says rising non-COVID excess deaths reveal the disastrous legacy of the pandemic.
But I do, because sometimes we feature them here on the show, and it's important for us to do it, and I pay for it so you don't have to. So I'll kind of go through what this Telegraph story says. Rising non-COVID excess deaths reveal the disastrous legacy of the pandemic. And it says, when Britain first locked down in March 23, 2020, the average daily death rate from COVID was around 213, triggering understandable alarm and the ushering in of strict restrictions. Now, a similar number of unexpected deaths are occurring each day, the majority of which are not primarily caused by coronavirus. Now, I'm quoting this Telegraph piece. Yet there is largely silence from the government and health service, it says. Data from the Office of National Statistics, ONS, shows that in the past 6 months, there have been more excess deaths from causes other than COVID than deaths due to coronavirus for the entire year. So what is it then? Wouldn't you like to know?
Well, and that in that first sentence too, like it's saying, Philip, if you can pull that sentence, that document back up, so that I can read that first sentence.
Now a similar.
It says.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, the first one where it says the average daily death rate from COVID was around 213. Now we don't know. They're saying from COVID, but we've shown with the Freedom of Information Act that it was with COVID. So I wonder if that number is the accurate number of from or with.
Yeah, this is the question, right? So the report goes on. Data from the Office of.
Yeah. So, did they actually
These
catch
some smart
the virus?
guys. I want, like, I don't know if they'll ever watch us, but I really appreciate this is journalism, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They had 30,000 people watching. Like, they were obviously doing something right, but I'm hearing them myself. Like,
I just discovered this channel recently. The channel is called Redacted. 1.41 million.
I'm gonna have to look them up, because I haven't. This is my first time seeing these guys. But
yeah. So like you said, the language is important. So it's like, did those people who died, did they die from having the coronavirus, or was it some other
they died
related?
Because like I said, did they die from symptoms of it, or did they die with COVID? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the whole, like that's the part of the difference, because you can have, I guess, some symptoms, but doesn't necessarily mean that
that's what killed you.
Yeah.
You died of something else while you had COVID, and then they register it as a COVID death.
No. Listen, like even deeper than that. Not that you even had COVID, you had relatable symptoms, like stuff that's related to COVID, and doesn't necessarily mean you had COVID, but you have some because there's some symptoms that you can get from it that you can get from other things as well. But just because you had the symptoms doesn't necessarily mean that that's what it was that was, like I said, that caused it. There could be other things that's there, because
Like the flu.
I mean, I know people who
cold.
I know people who, huh?
Like the flu or just having a cold. You know.
Yeah. What's the other one? That's it's much, I guess, much more serious than
Pneumonia.
When you pneumonia, yeah. Like I mean, those are all like very similar, in with the same types of symptoms.
Yep. So which was it? That's a good question.
Yeah.
Let me play some more.
Of national statistics, the ONS shows that in the past 6 months, there have been more excess deaths from causes other than COVID than deaths due to coronavirus for the entire year. Figures reveal there were 18,394 deaths due to COVID recorded this year in England and Wales. But since May, there have been 23,195 excess deaths where the primary cause was another condition. Some of those people did die with a coronavirus infection, but it was not the main reason for the death. Unbelievable.
Well, and when he
The
said
excess deaths in the UK. Take a look.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I said when because I you know what, I a lot of times I automatically think about the U.S., but because I don't really know what the regulations were on how they reported it, because there were strict ways to report certain things here that may not have existed in the UK, in Wales, Australia, like all these other places that's heavily affected. Well, I guess as well. But I know here there's certain things it didn't, if they came in with a cough or if they, they hadn't even been tested, but if they die while they're there, they were like, they would put them as a COVID or a respirator death to get paid more. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
And there's a lot of stuff that happens. So I mean, there's some stuff that we're gonna have to really take with a grain of salt, and at least make sure we list that as factors, because there's a lot of things that we're not gonna get to the bottom of, especially here. Like I said, I don't know the difference between the regulations, what the rules were for the doctors there compared to what they were here, so that we can have a true understanding of what happened. But I think that's something that we have to weigh out as well.
Let me read some. People should be mad. This should be big news. Everybody should be angry and upset and asking questions like, "What the f? Can y'all please explain this?"
Especially the ones that trusted them, because I mean, you know what? Like they should be like, they could be like, "Screw you!" Like they could tell me, "Man, screw you!" Like, did you take it? All right, well, shut the hell up. But I'm angry because a lot of my family trusted them, and went and did what they thought was right for themselves and others.
And they were pressured too to lose their job. They said
that all of that.
Like you killing other people by not doing this. Like you being you're not being a good citizen.
Yeah,
you're being selfish.
Look, me and some of my family don't even talk right now because of that.
Let me read some comments.
People that's really close to me that I love, like, and I know they love me, but because of that, like, they just like, I'm too radical.
Let me read some comments. Yeah, it says, "Never underestimate the evilness of our government." Another comment, it says, "My husband and children and I said no. He lost his job but got another one. We lost our belongings and was homeless a month, but we are still here and have a roof over our head for the winter. We will keep fighting regardless of the consequences. We know what this shot is."
Man, that's a strong woman right there. It's like, look, she's sticking it out with her man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look, all these things might happen, but in this physical world, all these things that some of us put, so much, strength in. I mean, look, having those people over, those close ones in your life, it matters more. So, and that's to me, that's showing real faith in God.
I agree.
That's an example of true faith.
I agree with that. Let me read some more. It says, "This is so-called pandemic woke me up. I used to worship one particular political party, and now I see the truth. The hypocrisy, the manipulation is very trouble. I now honor being a free and critical thinker." I hope this woke up a lot of people. Let me read some more. It says, "As an ER nurse, I used to not ever be alarmed of a person under 35 checking in with chest pain. Based on scientific data of statistics, they would not be a true cardiac patient. Now we consider any age with chest pain checking in as a possible cardiac patient. Insane to think about this."
Yeah, man, it's sad, bro.
I'm telling you, because you got young people getting heart attacks and dying.
Yeah, and I mean, and we're not talking about somebody 400 pounds.
Yeah.
And, you know, no, we're talking about people who are like would be great examples of good health.
Let me read some more. It's normally, under normal circumstances. Let me read some more. It says, "I feel sorry for the innocent children being forced to take the vax, but most of their parents are also responsible for it. Some people are naive." Another comment, it says, "I had a friend who was scared of getting COVID, so he stayed home, avoiding people, friends, and family, got both of the jabs, and 2 months later dropped dead from cardiac arrest." Another comment, it says, "Down here in NZ," what is NZ? I don't know what that is. "Down here in NZ, over 90% of us are double jabbed. I am one who is not. We unvaccinated are ridiculed, and oh, how things will change. Great work again, guys."
For real.
Let me read another one. It
Because
says,
because I'm gonna tell you,
Go ahead.
some of the people that was barking at me, like friends that just like, you know, shit, I had somebody that, I mean, they end up apologizing to me, but like I have a friend that was like, you know, talking about how ridiculous I am, and you know, like how much, you know, I'm like risking my child and this, that, and the other, because like my son's mother took it, but I, you know, because of what I said, he cannot. So it's like, you know, I was like, I'm the bad guy, and if something happens to him, then you know, I got to live with that. You know, so like I done got ridiculed in all kinds of ways because, you know, I wouldn't take it nor let my son take it. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, now it's real quiet. Really, really quiet.
Let me read some more. It says, "People would rather double down on the lie than admit that they were wrong. Simple as that."
Dumb. Yep.
The Russell Brand video. He's got, oh, they're talking about the Ukraine. Let me read another comment. It says, "I'm starting to believe that no matter how dangerous this thing turns out to be, they will still try to mandate it. I'm convinced that there's a sinister scheme going on."
Well, you know, he keeps making this, and like people need to understand the reason why he keeps making it an emergency is so that he can continue paying for them to be free for people. It's not because it's doing anything for the people. It's because he wants to continue to sell it where he knows he's going to get his money from. Like that's his own personal government contract. You know what I'm saying? Like this is how they're getting paid by, you know, people's ignorance and not knowing, you know, or realizing at some point, because they're waiting for the news to say, "Hey, you know what? We're good. We don't. You know what? Like let's just scrap this whole project." Like they're not gonna do it.
On that note, I did hear about, because I want to say they're no longer paying for it no more. The government has said that they're not paying for those. You have to pay yourself. They stopped paying. You have to get it private.
Well, somebody must have stepped up and not allow, because they knew, because I remember like this was like 2 weeks ago or so when they were talking about you know, he's not because like I said, conveniently after the midterms, there just so happened to be not a big wave of COVID, and but he wants to still make do this as like consider it an emergency time, so that those who want the shot could still get it for free. Which is BS. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, these people know it ain't, you know what I'm saying? They know what's up with it. Like, they read the stuff I've read at CDC, or somebody has told them. Like, there's no way they don't know at the top.
They had said, I think it's this video. I hope it's this video. I want to play some more of it, but let me read a couple comments before I do that. But they said that like it wasn't even a vaccine. Like they were calling it a vaccine, but it wasn't even that. Like they wasn't being honest about that even.
Well,
because it didn't work the same way as traditional vaccines work.
Well, see, that's the thing, because you can't. Yeah, I guess the technology. They've been called like, they have sold it to the public as a vaccine, but a vaccine is not what this thing really is. This is a technology, which I guess depends on how you want to label it, but it's more of a technology than it is a medicine. And they know this. Like they know that the things that's in it, this mRNA concoction, along with baby fetus and all these other things, was not like they had to do, like, because I mean your body would naturally accept it if it was good for the body, but because they know it's not, they had to do things to hide, like the protein, the spike protein is that they had to hide everything inside of those proteins to get past certain cells, because some of those cells would kill it off as soon as it recognized it, because it's not good for human consumption. So like these people knew this even creating it. And from what I've heard, I hadn't seen the guy myself, but there's other people that has told me, it's like the dude that created it said it is not meant for human consumption.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are things that has been going around for a long time, since the beginning.
Let me read some more. It says, as a mortician, it is unbelievable what we are seeing. Another comment, it says, yet they are still pushing this. Unreal. I stayed true and didn't give in. I'm proud of myself. The more they push, the more I push back. No one controls my body. Another comment, it says, it's easier to fool people than to convince them they have been fooled. Man.
What? Oh my goodness. I mean, I thank God, like, to some point, I think, like, my mom and my brother, because like, they didn't, like, they're listening to me more now. But in the beginning, it was just like, it was so much fear. It's just like, like, they know me too well. Like I'm Jesus in his hometown. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would they listen to me? You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, look, I got your best interest at heart. Like, I have time to do research, and I do it for not just myself. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason for me to be here and the rest of y'all gone. Like, what joy will I have if, you know what I'm saying, I'm the only one here?
None at all. You're lonely as fuck, and I know where you are because I'm lonely as fuck too. Let me read some more. It says, truth does not mind being questioned, whereas a lie does not like being challenged. Another comment says, unfortunately, if you follow the frontline doctors who have been banned for speaking out, they predicted this. This is intentional and expected. Yep. I want to play a little bit more because I think they talk about what I said earlier. Let me see.
Look at this latest data. Now, the Daily Skeptic has this put together, and these are in here in red that Will Jones has highlighted from the Daily Skeptic shows. I don't know if we have that chart, do we, or is it just on my laptop here? You can take this on my screen here, Philip. Sorry. So this excess deaths in red. These are the most recent few from the end of, from the beginning of this year. These are the 5-year averages for the weeks 1 to 8 in 2022 are affected by the COVID-19 wave in early 2021, right? So that was the COVID wave right there in early 2021. So what the hell is this in red? Can anyone answer me? So COVID wave came. Everyone went and did something. Governments mandated people to do stuff. You know what I'm talking about.
Can we ask the question about whether or not that's correlated with the J?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I'm implying here, right?
That's what he's alluding to. Yeah.
I'm not saying it is. And I'm not saying there's a correlation.
Nope.
But the Daily Skeptic is saying there's a correlation based on some of this data. And wouldn't we like to know if there is? And this is why there should be an investigation. A new report out today from the Daily Skeptic goes into that specific data I was just showing you. It says the death crisis continues with 1,232 excess deaths, 12% above the 5-year average registered in England and Wales in the week ending October 28th, according to the ONS. Of these, 804 of them were attributed to an underlying cause other than COVID-19. Bringing the total excess non-COVID deaths since the wave began in April to 23,000 compared to the 1,200 last time. 23,000 to 1,200. So here's the most stunning data. An average of 1,564 extra deaths per week. Throughout 2020, that number was 315. Throughout 2021, that number was 1,322. Now, since May of 2022, since May of this year, 24,440 non-COVID deaths. Nobody who's in charge of the NHS or any of the health, the health secretaries are talking about this at all. I don't hear anybody at the CDC talking about this.
Where are the government, alarmists right now? Like, if it was some, the virus, they're like totally alarmed. But like these numbers are, that's why I was always like, it's such a farce, because there's no alarm about heart disease. There's no alarm about, alcohol-induced deaths. Like, they don't care actually about the deaths because it's not, they can't make it alarming.
Yeah.
So, the fact that nobody is out here yelling about this is laughable.
And, the line that we've been hearing from like the BBC and others is that, there's a backlog of people that couldn't get health care, right? So you're going to see additional problems right now. And perhaps, maybe, but at what point does that line or that narrative start to not actually hold up anymore? And I think we're starting to see the line right now. I think we're starting to see the cracks in that story, especially when you have, again, when you look at the heart related deaths, that's the big one. So I get the cancer piece of this, right? I get that. But in 0 to 24-year-olds, what?
That's hard to spit. That's hard.
Can someone explain?
Swallow.
Yep. And somebody needs to do some explaining.
Yeah, and see, but I wonder, because we talked about it last night with all of the long laundry list of things that they're investigating at the WH or within the executive branch and the actual head of state. Like, will any of that be included? Because to me, like, out of all of the war crimes that all of the presidents of the past have gotten away with, I like, is this something that we're gonna like continue? Like, is at some point does something gonna happen so that going into the future, people know that You don't F with America or its people of the world. Like, is anybody going to say something? Or is it just okay for somebody to be, behind so many deaths? I mean, of course, he's not alone. He's not acting alone. But for him to be the head, like the chief, and to allow all these things to happen, I mean, is this what has become acceptable by the world?
By us?
By us? By the people? Like, I mean, like this is a worldwide event. This is globalism. If you know what I'm saying, like he believes strongly in globalism. So I think that his power, his strength has stretched all across the world, this whole entire planet. So I think that he should be partially responsible for all deaths that has happened in result of this. Partially, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to get in trouble with this topic. Freaking Immortal Technique was saying something. I can't remember what he said, but I know that I wanted to share it. Let me play this.
I got to step out for a minute, but I'll be right back in.
All right.
In fact, you probably didn't even cut the lemons. You don't own the pitcher. You don't own the house.
Oh, yeah, this is the point I wanted to cover. Let me take it back.
Most consistent politician I had ever seen, at least.
He was very honest in the sense that when you heard that Hillary Clinton calling him a violent misogynist, everyone was scratching their head like, you talk about your husband?
Yeah,
you talk about Bernie?
She's wild.
What are we doing here?
She's Jesus Christ.
But I think
Hillary rabbit hole's crazy.
But I think that having a conversation just shows you how many people were understanding that, yes, we do have socialism in this country, socialism for the rich. And I'll give you an example. The first
socialism for the rich, rugged capitalism for everybody else. And when you say rich, it's really the corporations.
Kind of economic experiment that people learn in this country is a lemonade stand for little kids.
Right.
What up, y'all? We got to stop the interview real quick. Tell you about our good friends at MyBookie. That's right, man. MyBookie is where you want to get the LEG. So go sign up for a new account at MyBookie. Use that promo code bootleg and double your deposit. Let's get back to the interview.
Let me show you why this is deceptive and part of the reason capitalism is failing you. The little kid is out there selling $1 glasses of lemonade. You haven't bought the lemons, kid. Your mommy did. Just like the government buys stuff from these big companies. You didn't buy the knife that you cut the lemons with. Matter of fact, you probably didn't even cut the lemons. You don't own the pitcher. You don't own the house. You never paid the water bill. You didn't bring the table outside, right? And you're not going to clean everything up when it's over. So you are the exemplifying precise example of what the American corporation does, which is live off the welfare of the state to make money for itself. And meanwhile, you're fighting imaginary communism when it's just corporatism. You don't even have to imagine Illuminati. Imagine the corporate board of Kmart. They'll give you as much access to what they're talking about as Illuminati will. You're not invited into that boardroom. You're not invited into the boardroom where they say, oh, we can't sell these products because they have high fructose corn syrup. Right. I just came back from a tour in Europe. They don't even sell American products there because they say that they cause cancer, and they're
crazy.
And another thing, you could buy a doctor just as easily as you can buy a politician, ladies and gentlemen, which is what the FDA does here in this country. So I'm sorry I got just bad news for you.
I feel like that's kind of what happened.
I got to play that clip again because he explains this so well and simply. So it's like the corporations, he's comparing the corporations to the lemonade stand that the little kid does in front of the house. And so that's what I be saying all the time, these big, huge corporations, and so like the thing is they should pay more, period. These people making so much money off of the roads, off of the systems that are available. for them to make private capital, but they're using our money, the public funds, to build the infrastructure for them to be able to make money, you know, and then they keep the money themselves. It's just like what we're talking about COVID just a minute ago. The companies come up with these technologies, they get all kinds of money from the government to do the research, but then once they've discovered what they want to discover and synthesized it and it's ready to go to market, now all the profits go to a private corporation, a private person. Oh, this guy invented this new thing that's so cool and it's helping everybody, da 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 da. So, you know, we should invest in people who are gonna come up with stuff that's going to help the people. Yes, that makes sense, but what about the money? So, you know, now he sells it to us and he makes a fortune off of it. He wouldn't even been able to come up with that at all if he didn't have the money from the government at the beginning with the research. So the people, American people, the people who made the initial investment, anybody who makes an investment is going to want some return on their fucking money. How come the United States, how come the citizens don't ever get a return on their fucking investments?
Is out there selling dollar glasses of lemonade. You haven't bought the lemons, kid. Your mommy did. Just like the government buys stuff from these big companies. You didn't buy the knife that you cut the lemons with. Matter of fact, you probably didn't even cut the lemons. You don't own the pitcher. You don't own the house. You never paid the water bill. You didn't bring the table outside, right? And you're not going to clean everything up when it's over. So you are the exemplifying precise example of what the American corporation does, which is live off the welfare of the state to make money for itself. And meanwhile, you're fighting imaginary communism when it's just corporatism. You don't even have to imagine Illuminati. Imagine the corporate board of Kmart. They'll give you as much access to what they're talking about as Illuminati will. You're not invited into that boardroom. You're not invited into the boardroom where they say, oh, we can't sell these products because they have high fructose corn syrup. I just came back from a tour in Europe. They don't even sell American products there because they say that they cause cancer, and they're crazy. And another thing, you could buy a doctor just as easily as you can buy a politician, ladies and gentlemen, which is what the FDA does here in this country. So I'm sorry
Man, he said a whole mouthful right there. What, you said you wanted to make comments? You there? Yeah, he said a whole freaking mouthful right there. I don't know what to say. He said it all. It's like these corporations. They, you know, it's socialism for the corporations and rugged capitalism for all the rest of us. You know, that's it. You know, we got to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. But these people get huge government fucking unsubsidized loan, not even loans, like it'll be grants. They don't even have to pay the money back, and they use this as startup capital. It's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. And then they got the people arguing about cultural issues, you know, talking about we don't want to be in a communist country, you know. Meanwhile, they're getting raped and robbed left and right, and socialism is happening here in this country in all different kinds of ways. I wish people understood better. I think that was the whole clip I wanted to play from this one, but let me play a little bit more.
I
got like, just bad news for you.
I feel like that's kind of what happened with the entire COVID shit. It was like the doctors who would say, hey, it's not for everybody, or they got silenced or they got taken off Twitter. I know there was one guy who was a writer. He was just on Joe Rogan recently, who he actually sued Twitter because they took him off Twitter. They banned him. He's like a writer because he pretty much spoke out against the vaccine, just saying, hey guys, it doesn't cure it. They deleted his tweet. Right. They banned him, and he sued him because that's kind of a part of his living as a writer. And they had to reinstate him, and then they had to pay him money.
Right. Well, I mean, his premise was, and I think I know exactly what you're talking about. He said, listen, if I'm not an anti-vaxxer, I'm for polio, for all these other things.
Yeah, I got the first round of the vaccine.
But let me just say honestly, the thing that he brought up that's incredibly important, that he should never have been punished for. He said that it's technically not a vaccine because if you take it, then you shouldn't get the virus. If you can still get the virus, but for example, what they decided to rebrand and say, well, it's not that you don't get the virus, it's that you get a much lesser effect.
But that's
than
not
the
what they
virus.
said initially.
Exactly. So that's kind of the back foot that they fell on. And that's kind of like what I get when I argue with people and they want to try to convert me to something, and then I bash them so hard, and then they're on the back foot saying, oh, both sides are corrupt. No, that's where you should have started from, brother. That's not the position you retreat to. So when I discuss these things in terms of like the COVID response, that was a big reason why we did the Rebel Army runs. We defied the lockdowns, not out of gratuity, not just to be on IG like, oh, we're out here when they said we couldn't be. That's not rebellion. That's not revolutionariness. That's just you trying to be a troll for IG. We actually went out there, and when we were moving this food and these products, the police stopped me before, and they said, what are you doing? And I said, I've become the food program for the grant houses. I'm feeding these people. That's just what I'm supposed to do, isn't it? And the guy's like, you're wearing like you're wearing a vest and you have a scanner.
Right.
I said, that's for my own personal amusement. And he's like, what are you doing with that today? I said, I don't feel like discussing my day, officer, but I'm going to be here and I'm going to continue to support these people in my community. Oh, by the way, you're from the 26th precinct, right? You're one of Captain Alex's boys. What if she found out that you were trying to cut off the food program out of that de Blasio canceled? You know, de Blasio, the one that you hate, right?
Yeah.
I know how to talk to people.
Right.
So the guy's like, man, you can either stop me from doing what I'm supposed to do, brother, or you can make sure that we get through to these people. And I'm going to be real. They folded, not in like no, they folded like, wow, I see your point. Cool. So we were out there, and through all the lockdowns, we started this program in March of 2020. So when this just started, because they really announced the pandemic in like February. So late March, early April was when we started. And it was me and this one tiny little Dominican girl.
Wow.
Right. And her boyfriend would help now and then. But that's what it was. So I tell people, listen, you're going to get yelled at. You're going to have people disagree with you. It's okay. What the purpose is not to force your ideas on other people. You let them come to them naturally. You present other arguments and you give them the ability to make that decision.
100%.
I think too many times, like we were just talking about, people expect to be able to change someone's mind immediately. And people don't work like that. I mean, if you tell people not to do something, it's a perfect way to get them to try to do something. That's how human beings are wired.
And if you tell
don't
people
touch the apple.
If you tell people they have to do something,
you're right.
Then they're
They
going
don't
to be
wanna
like,
do it.
well, wait a minute.
Right.
Wait a minute. I have to do it. It's my body. What the fuck? As opposed to like, hey, here's the facts. Figure it out.
Right.
100%, man.
But I mean, look, my mom is a 2-time cancer survivor, so I took it very seriously.
Of course.
Like,
I mean, my grandma passed away from it, you know?
God rest his
Yeah.
soul.
She was in a nursing home, man. So it was obviously it's a real thing. I just think that like there was just so much misinformation that was being fed to us on TV every day. It was the fear mongering, normal shit that it's been happening on the media forever. And I feel like so many of the voices that were just kind of giving other alternative points and actual facts about the vaccine were silenced. And it was just like, I feel like two years fast forward, a lot of that is kind of like, yeah, well, maybe if you did catch COVID, you really didn't need to get the vaccine. If you're a healthy person and you got it, your antibodies are going to be stronger. And you know, if you're a younger male, you don't have to worry about the risk of myocarditis and all this.
But
shit.
if you are a young person and you happen to have anything like a breathing issue or asthma, then you're much more likely to suffer some of the worst consequences.
Right. It's like, it just depends on your like
that. But that's my whole point. Why I told people, hey, don't listen to
come up with
a shock jock. Go and go to your doctor and get checked out and say, hey, is it okay if I do this or is this wrong? And I think what the main issue that I saw happen with so many people is that people weren't empathetic towards people who thought they really needed it, and the people who were in need of it had no empathy towards the people that were on some like holistic medicine stuff, which is something that I'm down with. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you're going to tell me that now because this person wore a mask that they're propagating fascism. Like, okay, I had an argument with a dude, like a friend of mine who's a prominent guy in the anti-vax world, and I said, listen, brother, they didn't take your freedom this time. They already had it when you butchered 1 million Iraqis, a country that had nothing to do with 9/11. They already got your freedom when they sent you to Afghanistan. They already got your freedom, right, when they had you bomb Libya and open a slave market there. They already got your freedom. What they wanted now with this was something totally different. They didn't need to put a microchip in the vaccine. You already got the microchip.
That was in your
walking
phone.
around
It's in
with
your
this.
pocket.
Right?
It's in your pocket. That's what I was telling everybody.
But what they did do is that exposed something even crazier, that Adam Smith and Karl Marx, even though they're diametrically opposed sides of communism and capitalism, were both right. There's only two classes. The middle class is a farce, right? And that's what COVID taught you, because you could have a nice house, Kev, you have a nice car, a job, but you're worth negative $600,000. And a lot of you lost your homes during that time.
Yeah.
And you realized, oh no, there are only two classes. There's the working class, and they're the people who control the means of production. And if you're not one of these two people, then you think you're one in the middle. You're not really one in the middle. You're here. See, these people know who the fuck they are. They don't pay taxes.
Right.
Their corporation doesn't pay taxes. If people want to look up any example of that, there's a famous woman from New York called Leona Helmsley, who owned the Helmsley building. And she got in trouble because for years, she paid no taxes like all major corporations.
Yeah, I mean, Google doesn't pay. I mean, none of these
Right.
people pay taxes.
But she went out and said in the media, in the New York Times, only little people pay taxes. And they had to get her because this caused such a fucking uproar in New York. They were like, little people. Like, you mean working class people? Because a capitalist system creates food and shelter as commodities. So you're forced to work a 40-hour work week instead of venturing to things you would possibly like. The fact that, look, if I get an album done and I pay the record label back in a traditional scenario, I don't even keep the intellectual property. That's crazy. If I get a loan for anything else and I pay the loan back, I own the car. The car's mine, everything. Yeah. The problem is this. Now people bring up, is the house really yours? Because if you don't pay those property taxes that equal the equivalent to the house paid over 50 years, they take the house. Yeah. Do you ever stop paying for it?
Also, like, how many people actually finish the 30-year mortgage before they move on to the next thing? It's like a rotation of fuckery for sure, man. Hey, we got.
Yeah, man. Mortal Tech. Always wise words. I love listening to that guy. And I'm a fan of this guy. Like, not, just him as a person, man. Freaking, he's inspiring to me.
Uh-oh. I might be in a bad area because it's breaking up kind of bad.
I can hear you fine. You was gonna make comments?
No, well, I always enjoy, his commentary because, he brings a lot of sense to. He's well traveled, so he brings a lot of, he brings the scope in. Like you can kind of get you can kind of understand what's happening around the world based on some, his conversation. And, of course, I don't agree with everything he says, but I think he does have a good grasp more than the average person that kind of helps give some middle ground to all of it.
Yeah. The comments. Yeah, I don't see anything. Good. Oh shit. I gotta answer this call. Hello? Yeah, now I can. That's fine.
Tell your mom I say hello.
All right. Sorry.
Are you good, man?
Yeah. Life happens. Shoot, I think that's everything I really wanted to cover. We're at 2 hours, and I'm coming back on tonight.
Okay,
So,
cool.
but yeah. Anything you want to talk about? I don't have to go.
I'm riding the wave, man. I just really wish people would pay more attention to what's going on around them. You know, my investigation, my research may not turn up the same because what sources you trust, but I think that you need to have a balance. Try to learn to get a more balance. Listen to people that you wouldn't normally. You know what I'm saying? They might not be stupid. You know what I'm saying? They might be able to add something, and even like I learn from other people's ignorance sometimes. So, like I think we really got to be more mature about our ways of receiving information and how we use the information. But if we don't get enough, because I mean, if you're just relying on, our usual sources, they've those places are not in a position to be as honest with you as some of those external media sources. So I mean, I think people need to understand that and not to say that those people are useless. Because I'm sure they do serve a good purpose, but at the same time, if you really care about yourself and your family, you need to open your mind and allow to at least be able to hear some of these other folks out. Because like me and Chaka and a bunch of others were considered insane, crazy. We're just conspiracy theorists, and then here we are 2 years later, and the very things that we were saying 2 years ago is here. Like it's more visible. So we're not crazy. I think that's the biggest point that I want to stress at this point, but I mean, I care about humanity altogether. I don't pick and choose. Like somebody, when regardless of your color, your race, your religion, I find somebody who cares about me and has that genuine interest. I hold on to that because you don't find that genuine people all the time. So I think that we got to be more open to we passing up a lot of things because we've shut certain things off because of the programming. We got to reprogram ourselves, and if you got to be if you got to be brainwashed, why not do it yourself? But I digress.
This headline. Yeah, man, I agree with all that. What you said, like, have an open mind. Look, try to explore information from different sources. To try to get out of your bubble, try to get out of your algorithm. Break the algorithm, confuse it.
Exactly.
Go watch some stuff that you completely disagree with. The algorithm gonna be like, what the hell, this guy? What's going on?
At the least, it'll be very entertaining.
And then you're gonna start getting different stuff in your algorithm because the computer remember everything that you click on, and it'll start giving you other takes on things. Because I purposely do that to keep my my YouTube algorithm, because that's the one that I focus on. That one in my Instagram. I try to keep it as balanced as I can because we all are in our bubbles. It's really hard to get out of it. So
Exactly.
so you have to put forth effort you know, by literally clicking on stuff that, you know, you completely disagree with.
Or that you wouldn't normally, because sometimes you don't know what you really agree with until you at least hear the other side, because you can start to pick it apart. Oh yeah, that's full of crap. They now all that. Wait a minute, hold on. What? Let's say that again. You know, in that all of that, like maybe a piece or two pieces, a small amount of it might be something totally meant for you that you needed. That, you know, gives you a different scope on things. We all, like, if you're still alive, you're still in a position where you need to learn. So take, you know, appreciate this, you know, time and the ability to grow. Don't think that just because you done learn so much, and, you know, especially if, you know, some of those that you know, not to really pick on, you know, some of the Bible thumpers, because I mean, I you know, I believe in the Bible just as much as the next guy, but for some of them, they think that they know it all. Some of them, you know what I'm saying? So we need to check ourselves, you know what I'm saying? Because God has a way of checking us.
Yep.
And you might not like it.
I want to read a couple of news articles because check this out. It says Western U.S. cities to remove decorative grass amid drought. A group of 30 agencies that supply water to homes and businesses throughout the western United States has pledged to rip up lots of decorative grass to help keep water in the overtapped Colorado River. I had been mentioning this for the longest time, the way that they do these landscapes, and a lot of these grasses they're not even local. Like they're from other places. They'll be like German. If they're invasive species, they're useless. They just suck up water, and it's really kind of dumb. But they're having no choice but to do things differently with this, because this headline right here, it says momentous U.S. advances large dam demolition in history. It says, this is Portland, Oregon, AP. U.S. regulators approved a plan Thursday to demolish 4 dams on a California river and open up hundreds of miles of salmon habitat. That will be the largest dam removal and river restoration project in the world when it goes forward. Really hope they do this. We were talking about the dams earlier. So so this article is saying Western cities to remove grass amid drought. So Western United States. So then in this one is saying California and the dams. So it's like that these two stories go together. Because, you know, they're having trouble with the drought. And like we were saying in the other video, I think that it's a lot to do with how we are handling this stuff is the reason why it's this way. And these are 2 examples of them going at it differently, because they clearly, you know, they can't keep saying, you know, that it's just the climate change and it don't have nothing to do with how they're dealing with things, you know?
Well, I think that a lot of, you know, people are, you know, of course not everybody, but there's a lot of people who's paying a lot more attention to this whole thing, because it's a, you know, it's really a worldwide conversation. And, you know, because shoot, there's some horrific stuff happening in other places in the world. I think we still have it good compared to some other places, but if we're not careful, we could really be at our own detriment. So like I like hearing stuff like this, but you know, just blaming it on this boogeyman called climate change. Well, like I need y'all to understand that climate change is a normal process, and you know, there's global warming and there will be global cooling. Like, you know, throughout time, as this planet continues to, you know, revolve, circle around, you know, the sun is moving around the earth, and the moon is moving water, and like all these things that's happening on a day-to-day, second to second, process, like this is just something that's just happening. It's not like some just thing that's just out of the blue that the world has never seen before. It's not. So there
Yeah.
are
So
things, there's changes that we can make, and we just need to find out, where we're going to be the most impactful, and let's do it.
and I think that the construction, the way cities, all of that stuff is what the kind of stuff that we need to look at. And it's really just about nature and letting nature do its thing. So, instead of us disrupting it all different kinds of ways, being selfish.
Yeah, I mean, and I just want to also, because I mean, one of the things that hurt me the most is how they were cutting up the Amazon. Like, the Amazon provides so much to the world, not just South America, North America. No, the entire world, the ecosystem of the world was dependent on what was happening in the Amazon, the rainforest, and they've been cutting it down. Like, that was like a straight, like an attack on God. So like we gotta be careful. Like we need to take advantage of Arbor Day and start growing more trees wherever we can, whether they be fruit or nuts or just something that provides more oxygen to the world. But we got to do something, and can't sit on our thumbs or sit on our hands and just think that these things are just gonna fix itself.
Yep. Let me read some of this.
Most of it we messed up.
Yep. Let me read this. It says the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission unanimously vote on the Lower Klamath River dams as the last major regulatory hurdle and the biggest milestone for a $500 million demolition proposal championed by Native American tribes and environmentalists for years. The project will return the lower half of California's second largest river to a free-flowing state for the first time in more than a century. Native tribes that rely on Klamath River and its salmon for their way of life have been a driving force behind bringing the dams down in a wild and remote area that spans the California and Oregon border. Barring any unforeseen complications, Oregon, California, and the entity formed to oversee the project will accept the license transfer and could begin dam removal as early as the summer, proponents said. I think a lot of these dams need to come down. It says the Klamath salmon are coming home, URIC Chairman Joseph James said after the vote. The people have earned this victory, and with it, we carry on our sacred duty to the fish that have sustained our people since the beginning of time. It says the dams produce less than 2% of Pacific Corp's power generation, enough to power about 70,000 homes when they are running at full capacity, said Bob Gravely, spokesman for the utility. But they often run at far lower capacity because of low water in the river and other issues. And the agreement that paved the way for Thursday's vote was ultimately a business decision, he said. Okay, now this makes sense. Now that makes a lot of sense. So it's not like they're really trying to they're all like, oh, we want to give the salmon back to the Native Americans, and oh, we want the water to flow freely, because it's a drought and all of that. So no, it's not that. They're not producing because the water is so low. It's probably costing them money to run the dam. It says 2%, less than 2% of power generation. It says, and that's enough to power 70,000 homes when running at full capacity. So it says, and it's been running way lower. So they're not making no money. So this demolition project is probably some money right here. Like, you know what? We can make some money off of tearing it down. Yeah, let's do that shit.
Yeah, I mean, I wish that at some point, maybe people would do things. I mean, for whatever reason, I think that a lot of what happens is for the greater good, whether people realize it for themselves or not. But, it would be good to see somebody actually trying to do something that's going to benefit their fellow man instead of what's going to benefit their pockets.
Telling you.
it is what it is, bro. Like, I mean, look, I mean, maybe they're helping people and putting money in their pocket at the same time.
Yeah. Hopefully that's the case, because that's the win-win for everybody. Let me read some more. It says Pacific Core would have had to invest hundreds of millions of dollars in fish ladders, fish screens, and other conservation upgrades under environmental regulations that were not in place when the aging dams were first built. But with the deal approved Thursday, the utility cost is capped at $200 million and another at $250 million from a California voter-approved water bond. So there goes another reason. So it's costing them money because they're all like, oh, y'all got to do something about the fish. And then they do something about the fish, and they're like, man, this shit is costing us money, bro. We're not trying to do that.
Yeah.
Let me read some more. It says, we're closing coal plants and building wind farms, and it all just has to add up in the end. It's not a one-to-one, he said, of the coming dam demolition. You can make up that power by the way you operate the rest of your facilities or having energy efficient savings so your customers are using less. Let me read some more. It says, approval of the order to surrender the dam's operating license is the bedrock of the most ambitious salmon restoration plan in history and the project scope. Measured by the number of dams and the amount of river habitat that would reopen to salmon, makes it the largest of its kind in the world, said Amy Soares-Kobar, spokesman for American Rivers, which monitors dam removals and advocates for river restoration.
I mean, what you talking about? This salmon? Like, my question is, well, because I mean it's not the same. I think it's somewhat related though, because of the crabs. You know, we talked like last week or week before last, we talked about the population of crabs that was going. What was this? In Alaska, I think.
Oh yeah.
You know anything
The
about
snow
that?
crab. Wait, what did you say? You talking about the crab?
Like, do you?
What do you say?
Yeah, the snow crabs or whatever that was like the population of the snow crabs was so low that like they're pretty much not having a season this year.
Yeah, they're not having a season. I covered it in the show.
Yes. No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, how long does it really take? Like, if they're down on this low, like how long where they can, you know.
Well, they don't know. That's the thing. So they don't know. It's suspended for the rest. It's indefinitely suspended, and until the crab come back. Like they don't know where it went, and it's related to climate change because these crabs, they want really cold water, and the water has warmed up. Yeah, so it doesn't mean that the crab is extinct. It could just mean that they've moved. Or it could just mean that the numbers are so low that they're undetectable. So when the conditions are right, or conditions return, then the crabs will return.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense because I'm just like, okay, did we really like? Because I ain't gonna lie. I mean, that's one of the things that I know I'm not really supposed to eat, but I do from time to time, and I was like, man. Did I really eat that many this season for them to almost go extinct?
Well, overfishing is definitely an issue with a lot of the food supply related to seafood. But the climate, the habitats, that's why they be talking about the coral reefs. They talk about the acidification of the oceans. The oxygen content, all of this stuff, the salt levels, because this is what affects the wildlife that lives there. So the trash in the ocean, all of that shit. So like with the crabs specifically, it's related to the temperature of the water, So the ice melting, the water being, it don't have to be much warmer, just a little bit warmer, because the crabs thrive in certain temperature, a specific temperature. So if the water's not there, then the crabs, they're probably not going to spawn. Yeah, they're not gonna spawn. They're not gonna do their normal thing, because it's like, we just gonna hibernate or whatever. You know how it goes with a lot of those kind of creatures. They can really weather stuff like this, where the eggs will just be dormant or whatever, and they're just waiting for the conditions to come back, and then the crab will come back. Let me read some more of this. It says, across the U.S., 1,951 dams have been demolished as of February, including 57 in 2021, American Rivers said. Most of those have come down in the past 25 years as facilities age and come up for relicensing. Commissioners on Thursday called the decision momentous and historic, and spoke of the importance of taking the action during National Native American Heritage Month because of its importance to restoring salmon and reviving the river that is the heart of the culture of several tribes in the region. Some people might ask, in this time of great need for zero emissions, why are we removing the dams? First, we have to understand this doesn't happen every day. A lot of these projects were licensed in a number of years back when there wasn't as much focus on environmental issues, said FERC Chairman Richard Glick. Some of these projects have significant impact on the environment and significant impact on fish. And the thing about the fish is, just like the crab, the environment is healthier as a result. When the fish are healthier, that makes the river healthier. It makes the plants and stuff that grow in the water healthier. It makes the water cleaner. Like, if this is what I know from being up in the country. Like, they make these tanks, they call them tanks, where they feed where they water the cows, but they put fish in there, It's a reason why they put fish in there. It's because the fish clean the water, keep the water clean so they can be good for the cows to drink it. And us as humans, and because we're not educated on this type of stuff, we just don't see the connections of how this thing works. Everything is connected, the cycles of nature and everything. If the water was just sitting there in the tank with no fish, the plants and stuff would grow all up. The water wouldn't be moving. It's going to get stagnant and gross and nasty, and the cows won't even drink it. If they do drink it, it might make them sick. It's going to be full of freaking toxins and shit. Get what I'm saying? So the thing with the river, they're talking about the dam and they're talking about the river. So the making sure that the fish is healthy and being able to move and do their thing that they do for their cycle of life, it also makes the river healthier. And I also feel like that's going to have effects with the amount of water that you have there. It's all related. Definitely the amount of clean water. Yeah. I'm going to wrap it because I'm going to do a show later and I need to rest. And I got to deal with these kids. I'm going to have to deal with that soon. So I'm just going to wrap it, y'all. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for listening. Peace and love.